Hey Fab Firm owners, Claudia here. Now, you may have noticed that I have been quiet for the last 6 months or so. You may have noticed, you may not have noticed, but I've called the title of this video I Failed because I wanted to create a video and talk about the liquidation of my business, Firmy. So when I wanted to create this video, I thought, well, why am I creating it? And it's not because I feel like I owe an explanation. It's because I feel like there are a number of learnings here from my experience that I think will be valuable to the legal community. And sharing those experiences help us all learn. So the way I want to structure this video is I want to first of all talk about what has happened with Firmy. Then I want to talk you through the key learnings from that experience. And then I want to catch you up on what I've been doing for the last 6 months, but also what I am doing now and going forward. So let's begin. So Firmy, which was formerly known as Automio, was my legal automation software company. It went into liquidation in early May this year. And it was put into liquidation voluntarily by me and my shareholders. So I suppose the background to this is that I used to have my law firm, and as it was known then, Automio, the document automation software, it was really sort of born and incubated by my law firm to streamline the process of drafting documents in my firm. And it was a product and a project that I was very excited about. I had as we were developing it and as we were using it at my firm, I developed a very big vision for it to change the legal industry and the way that law firms did things. And so I decided that I would sell my law firm and take this software product and turn it into a product that other firms could use so that they could streamline and automate their workflows and document drafting in their firms. So that's what I did in 2017. It was when we launched Automio and took the product to the world, if you like. And from there, we raised capital from investors to grow faster. And for a number of years, we sort of started off quite slowly, but then we hit our stride in about 2019 and had a few really good years of really exciting growth. What happened during that time, I think, so at the start of Automio, I was very passionate about the product, about the software product. And, we had a vision to take it to the world and create a legal marketplace where lawyers could sell their automated documents to other lawyers and to the public as well, where people could sort of trade their intellectual property. And I was so excited about this. I was so motivated and so inspired, and I was really connected to that vision. And along the way, I think that, I used to really fight for that vision and I wouldn't compromise on anything. I was very strong about the vision, and because I was so dedicated to the vision and bringing it to life, I think that I perhaps didn't always do that in a very emotionally mature way, and became sort of known as, how would you put it? Difficult and unpredictable, I think, are two words that were used to describe me. And they were bang on. I was, because I fought so hard to bring this baby to life and to stick to the vision. And when you're bringing on partners and investors and board members and new team members, you get pushed to compromise on your vision on the daily. And it's so hard to keep everything on track and keep forging forward towards the vision that you have. And the way that I did that, I think, led to conflict, because I wasn't emotionally mature at that point. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to do it in a way that brought people together rather than sort of polarizing people. And so, but what happened is, I think I felt quite deeply hurt that people thought of me as difficult, and the conflict that went on to keep my vision alive, it wore me down. And I take full responsibility for that. But as a result, what happened along the way is we had a lot of successes earlier on because, I really fought for the vision. I really listened to my gut. I listened to my intuition. And if anybody tried to talk me out of anything, I would just stick to the vision at all costs. Where over time, I let myself get worn down, the conflict sort of wore me down, and I started to go against my gut and go against my intuition. And I started trying to please people and be all things to everybody. And I think that was really when, after a number of really great successes with Firmy, or Automio as it was earlier known, that was when we started to begin to unravel as a business. One of the main things that happened, which was, I guess a direct result, directly led to the liquidation, was that when things were going really well, we took on a lot of debt. And the reason we did that was because it was just after COVID. We felt that it wasn't a good time, or it was decided that it wasn't a good time to raise capital. We would raise capital the following year, but we needed cash in the meantime, so we were going to get cash. We were going to take on debt to get us through to the capital raise, and then we were going to use the capital raise to continue growing and reduce the debt. But so we took on the debt, quite a bit, high repayments, and then went out to raise capital the following year, and we weren't able to raise what I thought we would be able to. I wasn't able to raise the investment amount that we really needed to continue growing at the trajectory that we were. And so really from there, we had to start scaling it. We had to start scaling it back and restructure. And that meant that we couldn't continue with the development of the product at the same rate. We had to, reduce the customer service team. And so from there, it sort of just kept backtracking, and it got to a point where we just couldn't continue with the development. We could maintain what we'd built, but we just didn't have the cash or the resources to continue improving and building the product, which is really what needed to happen. So I had to make the really difficult decision to liquidate the company, which was really hard, really, really hard decision. Huge feelings of letting everybody down, of failure, of all those sorts of things, which I'll talk about a bit more in a moment. But at the same time, it was a good time to liquidate, in a sense, because we didn't owe any staff any money. So we didn't have that awful situation on our hands. We didn't owe any money to any small local businesses, so we didn't have that awful situation on our hands. There were sort of a handful, or I think we had seven or eight creditors, which were the likes of the bank and my family's family trust. So it felt like liquidating then was the timing, I suppose, meant that we could get out of it with I guess less damage than if we tried to keep going and started, getting ourselves into a difficult situation. So that's what we did. So it was an absolute ride. It was an absolute journey. There were lots of ups and downs. We had a lot of really great achievements and successes. We also had a number of really big challenges. For example, we had a big investment deal fall over at the 11th hour. More recently, I had an acquisition deal fall over. When that investment deal fell over some years ago, that was actually the catalyst for the launch of Scaleup. So something else that we did as part of the Firmy journey was we launched a coaching program for law firm owners. And the reason that I launched that was because when that investment deal fell through, I had been so certain that investment deal was going to go through that I was already sort of starting to spend that money. And so when it didn't go through, I didn't have enough money to pay the next wages bill in 2 weeks' time. So I was regularly asked about coaching. Lawyers regularly contacted me and asked me about coaching them, and I'd always been interested in doing that, but I was so busy, I hadn't had a chance to really give it much thought and what it would look like, even though, as a business owner, I'd been part of many coaching programs myself. So with a small window, I decided to launch our coaching program called Scaleup, and it was really that led on to a lot of our success over the next 2 or 3 years. And that Scaleup program and its offshoots, we had 600 or so lawyers go through that program, mostly Australian lawyers, Australian law firm owners, some New Zealand, some Singapore, States, Canada, Middle East, and a lot of the really sort of savvy, innovative lawyers who I see doing cool things now are actually people who went through that program some years ago. So that was a really cool thing to come out of the firm's experience, and I've made a lot of friendships and met a lot of really cool people through the Scaleup program. And the other cool thing about that part of the journey was that I found my I suppose passion that I didn't know that I had for coaching and for working closely with law firm owners on growing their businesses. And particularly in the earlier days of Scaleup, when it was smaller and I worked more one-on-one with the different law firm owners, I absolutely loved, hearing about their businesses, seeing what wasn't working, and come up with the strategies for them to make the improvements, to increase their profit, and to create more time and freedom for themselves. So that was a really cool thing to come out of it. So let me now move on to the things that I learned from the whole Firmy experience, because there's a number of things here that I think are so important and are a really good reminder for all of us as we are moving through life and running our businesses and doing all the things. So let me just look at my notes here so I don't forget anything. So first of all, and I've already touched on this, but trust your gut, trust your intuition. Don't compromise on your vision. Just don't, because the moment that you do, you start to become disconnected with yourself and you lose integrity with yourself. And I think that is a lot of what leads to unhappiness in the legal community with running their businesses. It's because you either don't, or we don't have a vision, or you don't, or you know what the vision is, but the law firm's operating like this and it feels like you're not aligned with what it is that you really want. So Trust your gut, listen to your intuition, follow it, because the moment you don't, you're going to be heading down a really challenging path. Now, what happened with me is I was very in tune with my intuition for a long time, and I fought hard to follow, like, let my intuition guide me. But along the way, like I said, to people please and avoid conflict, I stopped listening to my gut. So I kind of got out of tune with myself. So one of the things I've been doing over the last 6 months is I've realized that I've got, out of alignment with my intuition. I don't quite know what it is anymore. So I've spent a lot of time doing breath work and asking myself, what is my intuition telling me? And just listening to what comes up. And through that process over the last 6 months, I'm feeling a lot more in tune with myself again. So it might not be breath work for you. It might be lifting weights or going for a walk or sitting at the beach or whatever it is. But if you are feeling disconnected and you're not feeling like your intuition is strong at the moment, I think one of the best things you can do is invest time in reconnecting with that part of yourself and figuring that out. And just asking yourself, what's my intuition telling me? And just listen. And it might take a while for stuff to come up, but it will start coming up. It will start coming up, and those are the things that you should listen to. Not straight away, and I'm not saying that what your gut says is the only thing to take into account when you make big decisions. I believe in looking at the data and then, what is my gut telling me? What is my intuition telling me based on the data that I have consumed? But your intuition is so, so important. So please, whatever you do when it comes to anything in life, is listen to what your gut is telling you. It's not often it'll steer you wrong. So that's the first thing. Listen to your gut, tune in with yourself, follow your intuition. The second thing I learned is when it comes to growing a business, it is much more important to focus on systems rather than teams. Now, I've spent a lot of my career being focused on kind of business growth in a sexy way, so like, when you look at a business that's doing well, you look at, it'll be talking about things on social media, it'll be bringing on new customers, new clients. That's sort of the exciting, sexy bit of it all, right? The boring but more important part is the systems that you're building behind the scenes. It's the stuff that nobody sees. And that's why we often don't focus on it enough. And I'm totally guilty of this, by the way. And the way that I've taught, especially in the early days of Scaleup, I've been very focused on growth through marketing strategies, and through digital automation and things like that, rather than focusing on the systems behind the scenes. Now, one of the things about why my law firm worked so well was because of our excellent systems. We had an excellent operations manual which set out all the systems and processes and checklists and tools that we used to run as a smooth, efficient business. When it came to Firmy, we grew quite quickly. We had a team of about 12, and not long after that, we had a team of 25 to 30 people. And when we grew like that, we didn't keep up with the systems. And so while, on the face of it, we were hiring people, we were growing, it was looking really exciting, which it was, behind the scenes, our systems were just an absolute clusterfuck. And that was definitely a contributor to what happened. And it has made me realize, and as I've been working with my coaching clients recently, it's made me realize that it's much more important to build the systems that the team will run rather than focusing on growing the team to make more money. So focus on your systems. Systems, they are more important than team. I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but I know it now. So if you're not focused on systems, start having a look. And here's something else I can tell you from working with hundreds of law firm owners, is that 80% of law firm owners' headaches come from probably about 10 to 20% of their systems. So instead of trying to fix this or fix that, if you hone down and figure out the few systems in your law firm that are broken, they will probably be contributing 80% of your headaches. So figure out what they are, diagnose what they are, and then fix those, and you will be so much more further along just by doing that. So systems, not teams, that needs to be the focus. Number 3 is it's okay to pivot and to burn it down. So when I liquidated Firmy, or when I liquidated it, it was actually okay because I'd already made the decision to do it. Coming to the decision of doing it was probably one of the most stressful, awful times of my life, because to me, liquidation was failure. It was failure. It was personal failure. It was failure in the eyes of everybody. I just thought that I was a failure and that everybody would think that I was a failure. And so what I really had to learn there was that I really had to learn to decouple my sense of self-worth from the success of my business. I've always closely linked the two. And when my business goes well, I feel great about myself. And when my business doesn't go so well, I feel shit about myself. I've always so closely linked those two things. So I've really had to learn to decouple those things and know that believe that I am a good person and that I have integrity as a person and that I am not a failure as a person. Yes, I had a business go into liquidation. That business failed, yes, but that does not mean that I, as a person, am a failure. I'm still a good person. So I've really had to focus on sort of decoupling those things. And I suppose linked to that, I survived. I thought that liquidation would be the end of me, that was the end. But, the company went into liquidation and the next day carried on and the next day carried on and the next day carried on. It is not the end. So not that I'm saying that, you're in a position that you need to liquidate your company. But what I mean is you can burn it all down today and start again tomorrow. And that might not be as drastic as burning your whole business down. But, what have you got in your life that's not working for you? Perhaps you've got a business partner who has been doing your head in for years and it just doesn't work anymore. Perhaps you work with a certain client and they are horrible to deal with, they pay their bills late and you just want to cut them. Perhaps you've been doing a marketing strategy that just feels gross and you don't want to do it anymore. So what are those things that you have in your business that need to change? You need to just get really, really honest with yourself and clean up the mess and then move on to the next thing. So I encourage you to be honest with yourself, not to equate your business success to who you are as a person, to your sense of self-worth, and just know that you really can burn it all down today and start again tomorrow. So I am proof of that. Life continues. It just carries on. So that, and then finally, the final thing I wanted to talk about, what I've learned is generosity of heart. I have had a number of people who I would never have expected, and some I would have expected, to reach out to me over the last 6 months or so, and everybody, they've just been so kind, and kind in different ways, kind with their words, support, offering help, offering to jump in with this, jump in with that, words of advice, sharing experiences where they've had business failures, what they did and how that led on to this and led on to that. And just lots of different people as well. Clients, past clients, creditors, investors, people in my audience, family members, just all sorts of people just reaching out and just being so generous with their words. and with the offers of support, really genuine and with really meaningful offers of support as well. And I've really appreciated that, and it's really reminded me how important being generous of heart is, and how going forward I really, really want to continue to be generous of heart, and how I don't want to let, I suppose, the whole situation with the last 18 months where so many challenging things have happened, I don't want to let it get in my way or prevent me from being a generous person. So those are my five learnings. So in terms of what I've been doing for the last 6 months and what I'm doing now, so I've been consulting and coaching with law firm owners, which has been great. I've been working with all my clients one-on-one in a personalized, private way. I guess my coaching style has evolved. You know, I've run these big group coaching programs in the past, and what I've learned is that I much prefer working with my clients one-on-one. I like looking sort of holistically at their lives and figuring out what it is that they really want from the heart. What is the lifestyle that they want, and building their law firm around that to support that, rather than building a law firm that is just this sort of major time and energy and enjoyment suck that means they can hardly fit in anything else around it. So I'm really enjoying working with law firm owners who want to create a great business but also want to live outside of the business. So it's all about creating a law firm that lets you live, building a law firm around your life, not the other way round. So I've been working with clients on that. I've also spent the last few months creating a really comprehensive law firm operations manual for small law firms that covers all the different systems and processes of small firms. Everything from document presentation to trust accounting to marketing to workflows for different work types. And I've been pulling that together based on the operations manual from my old law firm, plus all the policies and procedures I've built for my clients over the last 7 years, plus bringing things in from best practices that I've seen working. So it's been really great pulling that together, because I think that this is a resource that pretty much every law firm owner I've ever worked with is lacking to some degree. Most small law firms don't even have the beginnings of an operations manual. Some do, but it's not enough to really create the smooth efficiencies, that streamlined law firm that is, that leads to profit and to the lawyer being able to have a life outside the firm. So that's what I've been working on. So I have space for a few more private one-on-one clients. So if you are interested in working with me, my contact details are below. So feel free to reach out, or you can book a call in with me and we can have a chat to see what your goals are and if working together would be a fit. So so please get in touch. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of my journey, and I hope that the experiences and the learnings that I've shared with you today help you with figuring out how to make the improvements and do the things in your law firm to help you get to where you want to go. All right, thanks. Bye.